What's up, Bulldogs? All right, I got some requests to talk a little bit more about AI and talk about how this affects the future in society and what I think about this in terms of jobs and where we're going to be. What are you going to do? Here's what I'll say, and I'll do more videos on this, but let's talk about what you as a man should do in this coming age of AI, because it's coming. There's no stopping it at this point, and it's going to take over more and more. So I think that is pretty reasonable to assume that within the next 5 to 10 years that a majority of jobs will be able to be done by AI, because a majority of the jobs that we have are thinking jobs. Now you might say, well, what about doctors? What about people who are plumbers or people who fix my house and do all these things and repairs and stuff like that? You're kind of missing the big picture here, which is that when you have sophisticated AI, when you have what they're calling AGI, artificial general intelligence, right? So when you have a brain that can think better than any human can, it can create all of the things that seem impossible today, right? So let's just take a plumber. You think, oh, well, you got to have a physical person to go and be a plumber and do plumber work and fit pipes together. No, a robot could do that. Oh yeah, it doesn't seem like that could be done today. Yeah, it can't be done today. But imagine what happens when you have an artificial intelligence that can design a robot that can do those things. Or you have a robot that has that artificial intelligence in it, and it has a body. It can move around. It can do repairs, and it can do, like, you got to think bigger. You also got to think about, why do most businesses exist? Most businesses exist to support other businesses in making money. I want you to think about that one for a minute. So where does that put you as a man? Where does it put masculinity in an era where you might not be valuable for your brain or for your brawn, and you might not have a job? It puts you in a unique place, which I think is actually perhaps a good place, but perhaps this is a good thing for humanity, because I think right now, what's happening is that we spend a majority of our time, a majority of our creativity, a majority of our talents in trying to survive and trying to make money and trying to get the new iPhone and trying to buy the new car and the new house, basically in the pursuit of generating wealth. That's what we spend a majority of our time. We go to jobs, we work, right? Because we want things. What happens when we get that life back? What happens when you don't have to spend a majority of your time working because the basic needs are taken care of? What happens when you're not valuable based on your skills, on what you can do, how much money you can make, how much you can lift, or what mechanical things that you can accomplish? What starts to happen then? What are you valued on as a man? You start to become valued on your human characteristics. You start to become valued on how you interact and treat people. You start to value time with people and relationships as opposed to all of these other things. And so you can be more human. And so what does this mean for you as a man? It means that you lead. It means that relationship skills are the most important skills that you can develop in the future. I mean, think about it, because all the other skills that you develop, money-making skills, intelligence, all these things, they're not as valuable when you have an artificial intelligence that can do all those things and more. But what does become valuable is your relationship skills. So that's why personal development is so important, right? Because it stops being about how much money you can make. And yes, there's a personal development aspect of making money, but it's not even really about that. This whole Bulldog mindset, what is it about? It's about the mindset. It's about the discipline. It's about learning to master yourself, master your emotions. It's about learning to conquer yourself. It's about improving yourself so you have the capability, obviously, to make money by applying yourself to that goal or that directive. But it's about improving your emotional intelligence and your ability to master yourself, the relationships that you create. And so what I would say is that if you want to prepare for the future as a man, there's two things you should do. One, you should be striking while the iron's hot right now, and you should be building some kind of business or using your intelligence to its full capacity before it becomes worth less. So you should be focusing right now on hustling. There's a time to make money, and the time is now, because that time is probably going to disappear very quickly, and then it's going to be gone forever. And I'm not saying this to scare you. It scares me. I'm saying this because you need to start acquiring some assets. That's why I'm really encouraging you to invest in things like real estate, because I think it's important. I think it's important to have some kind of assets before it becomes harder to gain them. And probably at some point we're heading for a socialist type of society. I think that is likely the case, because I don't see how you can sustain a capitalist society when people's skills aren't valuable, when all of the true value created in the world is created by a select few people who own the AI technology. I think that cannot sustain or exist. It just doesn't make sense. Right? Maybe this is 5 years in the future, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 20. I'm not exactly sure, but I would bet that it's less than 20. I think that's a safe bet, is it's less than 20 at the rate that things are advancing now. But what you really got to think about is, again, where are you going to create value now where you still can? That's the number one thing. I would be investing in, is my current skills and hustle. And then number two, I would invest in building myself and building my relational skills, right? As a man, what value you're going to have to women, it is going to be the value of being able to lead. It's the value of being able to be an emotional companion, to be a man who is attractive to women because he exhibits the masculine traits that are going to be even more important than they are now. Because in a world where you can't create something better than a computer can, what is left for you to do? And you might say there's nothing left for you to do, there's no purpose, but that's not true. The purpose is to improve, to grow yourself, to improve the people around you in a non-financial way. Most of our minds are wrapped around the idea of everything that we do and the value that we provide is a financial one. That's not going to be the case. It's not going to be the case in the future because we're not going to have the ability to do that. Whether you believe that's coming, again, like I said, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but it could be very, very fast. It could be very, very soon. So like I said, two things I would do is one, strike while the iron's hot, make some money now, invest in yourself, in building yourself. You might have a few years, and in a few years, you can build businesses, you can acquire assets, you can make some money, because I think there's going to be a transitory period where we have the haves and the have-nots, where the people who own assets, they're going to be able to generate money off of those assets, like owning property, right? And renting it out, or having a business, right? And you'll be able to take the advantage of AI and you'll be able to benefit from that. So I think that transitory period is going to exist, but then there's going to be the final period where all that stuff won't be valuable anymore. Even the assets won't be, because you can't have, for example, rentals that you rent out to people who don't have any money because they don't have a job. So eventually we're going to have to head into some form of a socialist or communist type of society. But before then, make the money so that you can make it through that transitory period, if that makes sense. And then finally, invest in the personal development skills that you're going to carry with you, and they're going to become immensely valuable in an age of no one's working. Whether you believe that that's the case or not, you do have to realize that personal skills are more valuable even today with the internet, but they're going to become more valuable in the future when we live in a depersonalized world that is governed by AI, which, you know, like I said, that world is coming. How far does it go? We don't know for sure, but it may go all the way. And if it does, what's going to become valuable? Humanity is going to become extremely valuable, and the human traits that are not duplicated by machines are going to become extremely valuable, and that's going to be masculinity and femininity. I truly do believe that. If you want some help navigating this AI world and becoming the best version of yourself, click the link down below and join the Bulldog Mindset. We've got a lot of lessons in there on life, on improving yourself and making money. If you want to make the money now, I'll see you tomorrow.